All right, guys. So here's a trade on the Australian USD that I just entered here on the daily chart. This is one I've been going over in emails and today's webinar. So be sure to check back on those email archives because I describe about this bullish outside bar. I speak about this pin bar here, and we extensively go over this entire area, and it's really an important supplement to the trade story here. So as I've been saying since we were sort of down under here, that this box area, so again we can see just crystal clear support flips to resistance based on this previous box as well with this major support, is just a great area if we can get back above it to likely hold as support. That's my preferred way, is to see that area hold as support. So again, we had this bullish outside bar that was trading back into this area, but as I spoke about, it did not close above that area. So without it closing above that area, you're trading back into it, and this type of situation can happen where price retraces. Now again, if you held on, great, but this to me is a lower risk entry. And again, as we've been speaking about in emails, this is the zone here that price should hold at. So again, I've gone in here and just entered on the close because we're right above the most recent flip from today's high. You can see these open and closes here, but the zone does extend into these lows around here. So, I'm willing to see price retrace, but it should stay within this box. So that's essentially where I'm looking at the furthest retrace point. Again, I spoke in today's webinar about, when should you enter on the open like I am here versus a retrace versus a break of the bar. Again, entering on a retrace and an open here are virtually the same. I don't want to fight over 10, 15 pips here when we're right near a point where price might just continue to burst out higher. So instead, again, we're going to use that area as protection. Hopefully this area holds as support. We can get our stop loss up under this area once we get some confirmation, or as price progresses up higher, we can obviously do that too. So again, pretty simple trade. We're trading back into this box. Price is now closed back above the box, which is major support, so it should turn back into support. We had this last final large move, capitulation move down, where price false broke out. Well, it started to break out, but got back up into this area here. So I'm going to target tentatively. I say tentatively because I may look towards the top of this box, but we still have this gap open, which is generally going to close too. So that's a really good target right around the 8,800 area here. So we'll see what happens, and I'll update this each time. Alright guys, so just a little update here. So we can see price retraced a little bit here. So again, this was the more logical area into this, these lows down here. So you could have put a buy limit down there. Again, like I said, I didn't want to fight over just such a little amount in terms of possibly missing an entry too. So that's why I didn't put a retrace, and that's what I was explaining about. Sometimes entering on a retrace versus entering on the open is pretty much the same thing here. So again, I've just gone ahead and reduced my risk a little bit. I'm just giving it some more room here. You can't forget that price is now entering back into a box. So, things could be choppy. So we could close here, pull back here again, come up here. So, I'm just sort of giving it a little bit of leeway. I don't want to just jump the gun and say stick my stop right under the low when there really is still a possibility price could pull back into this zone again. And I would be okay with that. But again, as we say approach, into these highs here, then I'll look to probably tuck my stop and then see if we can get one last little push here. Alright guys, just want to do a quick update here. I haven't moved my stop. Price is sort of just, we closed, relatively, neutral-ish in a way. Its price sort of just went a little bit higher. But again, we're in this sideways market, so I want to respect that. And I do feel like this area is strong enough that I'm okay to, let things play out a little bit more here. But what I'm really looking at here is if we start to move above yesterday's high and into these highs here and towards the gap, then I'll look to move my stop up under yesterday's bar and then slowly creep it up towards break even here. But again, I'm pretty confident in this area, in this trade, that if we do start to pull back too, it's not going to completely freak me out because we're in this sideways market here. So again, just a really small update here, but didn't want you guys to think that I'm not thinking about
what might happen next. All right, guys, I've gone ahead now and tightened my stop up more here. Again, this is why I didn't want to get it too tight too early here, because this is now, a very sideways type market here. And you can see price pulled all the way back down. So there was definitely a chance we could have gotten under this current low too, and it wouldn't have been too much of a big surprise here. But now that we've pulled back again, this makes me a little bit more comfortable to tighten it up right under these lows here again, reducing a large majority of our risk here. Most of our risk here is off, and now we'll see if we get one last push here into our take profit here. And again, as we get a little bit closer, then I'll go to break even. All right, guys, you can see what's pushing higher now here. So again, we're real close now. This is a good time to get to break even, and basically I'm just gonna let it go now. See if we can hit my take profit. All right, guys. So actually, a kind of interesting scenario here. Again, I'm glad I'm doing a video for this because it doesn't come up that often that I actually move my stop loss back. So what happened today is we got this last little push here towards this high, and again we got close to my take profit, and price turned around, and we just formed this very neutral bar today. Sort of just saying, listen, price went up, price went down. We pretty much open and close the same spot, and what this just tells me is that price hasn't done a whole lot. It's we have to remember we're contained back within this boxed area, and this boxed area means price is now sideways. So it's not unreasonable to think that price wants to chop around, and I'm still very comfortable with this support area. So what I did is I actually moved my stop back down. Again, it's not that I want to take a large loss. It's that I think that it doesn't make sense to leave my stop loss at break even with price closing where it did, because there's too high probability of chance that price will continue to retrace and say bounce maybe off this rising trend line with which intersects with this support area and then says continue higher. So that's a trade in and of itself that I would be interested in taking. So instead of getting out at break even, re-entering, or getting out at break even and just watching this go, I'd rather reassume risk on this trade, because I still believe that this is as good of a probability to move higher that you're going to get to say close this gap here, and really to say test this upper box here. So what I actually may even do too is, if we establish a new more significant low, maybe even pull my take profit up to the top of this box now. Again, listen, I am assuming risk here, and price may or may not continue down, and I could get stopped out. Again, I pulled it down here under these lows, but what I did is I set an alarm right near this trend line. So again, I could just sort of watch how we react. If it doesn't look like it's even going to bounce, and listen, I'll cut out for a little tiny loss somewhere over here and be done with it. But again, I really like the area still. Had we closed, let's say we closed, up here towards the top of the bar, well, then I'd be more comfortable leaving that break even. But again, this neutral is closed to me just doesn't signify anything. And it just signifies this choppiness. And again, look at what price did for a long time here. So we're back into this zone. So it's not out of the realm, and it's really to be almost assume that price is going to now do this within this boxed area. So again, interesting trade here, interesting scenario, but we'll see what happens. All right, guys. So again, as we can see, price came right down to the bottom of this box here. And pretty much stalled where we thought it might here. And again, did I incur a little bit more risk? Yeah. And certainly that's the case. But, this is such a strong area that there's times when you need to have a little bit more conviction with your trades. And, you have to take that risk as well. So I've also gone ahead and moved my take profit to the top of the box. That's not because I won't take profit at this midpoint, but if we do establish a more significant low here, again, we could see a period of, again, continued consolidation towards the top of that box, which again would be just a massive trade if we can hit it. So again, still watching that midpoint, that gap, but we'll see sort of how this develops today.
All right, guys, so I'm actually out of this one now. So just a little update here. That low ended up holding in here with that rising trend line. Again, we saw price sort of establishing a low at that area and holding at this very strong confluenced area. I know some of you even decided to get back in over here, or got in initially here on sort of a touch trade, which was a great area. And again, that's sort of what allowed me to hold this trade and, again, move my stop, which was slightly unusual. But for the way things developed, it was nothing that was too difficult of a decision to make here. And then you could see we closed real strong Friday. And again, I was going to consider and just see how price opened and reacted near this price pivot zone, but we did gap up sort of into that gap. So, again, for right now, I'm just going to close it. This is a very, very strong area. Again, I wouldn't even be surprised to see price pull back again before breaking up. So, at this point, this is about a 3% gain here, so I don't want to give that up, with everything that's going on. But again, you could hold it now, go to break even, let it fly. It's, those are some things that you sort of got to just decide on as a trader. But again, hopefully you guys saw over the last few weeks all the trades I've been sending out. We had a few wins, few losses, few small losses, I should say, a few break evens. And again, you keep things tight like that and smart. Once you hit one of these with a couple small winners that make up for those small losers, that's really, in my opinion, what is going to help build an account. All right, guys, so if you have any questions, though, just let me know.